Hello, welcome everyone. Lots of Ontario folks so far. Good to see you all. Winnipeg, PEI. I see we have some people from the other side of the country. That's great. I'm in Vancouver myself. All right. Well, it is 3 minutes past 9 here in kind of sunny, potentially, Vancouver. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this sold out event. I'm very pleased to say that this has been a very a success in terms of registration. We're very happy to see you all this morning. I'm hoping you're getting settled comfortably in the Zoom room. My name is Benedict Schöpflin. I'm the Executive Director of the Canadian Network for the Prevention of Elder Abuse. I hope that you know our organization. Today's event was developed and organized with the support of our partners and supporters, Elder Abuse Prevention Ontario, and the CREVAWC, which is the Centre for Research and Education on Violence Against Women and Children, and with the financial support of Justice Canada for Victims and Survivors of Crime Week, which is this week and goes on until Friday. Before I share a few housekeeping tips and before we dive headfirst into this exciting event, I want to start by acknowledging that all of us present today are gathered on the traditional territories of a great number of First Nations, and we recognize their stewardship of this land throughout the ages. Together, we endeavor to seek a new relationship with the original peoples, one that is based in honor and deep respect. So today we're going to have 4 sessions. There will be a break in between each session to give everybody time to change Zoom rooms, to maybe wander around Feed Loop and network a little bit, take a breather. We have the wonderful staff of EAPO in the virtual backstage who is available to help you if you have any tech issues. So if you're having any form of hiccup, sound, image, whatever it might be, stay calm, ask them for help, give them a moment to sort you out. They are very good at what they do. And don't worry about missing a few minutes. Every session is being recorded. The recordings will be made publicly available in the next couple of days, along with the resources that we are talking about. So don't worry. If you miss a few minutes, if you have to come and go, or if you can only attend a part of the day, that's okay. We've got you. One last thing I want to say as well, and it goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway. Today, we're going to talk about elder abuse. We're going to talk about gender-based violence. These are not easy topics. Most of you may be familiar with or already working in this sector, but they're difficult topics nonetheless. So we're asking that you take care of yourselves and, take a break if you need to. And I'm also going to ask that you take care of each other. So remember that the people that are in the chat box, the people that are behind the comments on your screen are real people. We're all here to address the same issues. We're all working together and we're trying to get further together. So let's keep a congenial tone, please. Any form of aggressive, disruptive, disrespectful towards our speakers, our attendees, or the team that's putting this event together will get you removed from the event. And we hope it doesn't get to that. Now, I'm going to share my screen briefly to walk you through a few basic tech things so that you all know how the system works. Give me just one moment to make it full screen for you. There we are. Okay, so a few basic housekeeping tips for Feed Loop. Things you need to know. Microphones are muted so that we can preserve the quality of the sound for the recording. When you are inside the Feed Loop, I was going to say machine platform, in the top right corner, there's a little speech bubble. That's for messages. So you can post comments there. If you post comments there, they will be shared publicly. Beside the little accessibility icon, you will see an icon that looks like a bell. And that's for notification. So if you see a number by that bell, somebody has sent you a private chat message, you can click on it to see the message. On the left menu bar, you will also find a help section. So if you want clarification on how something works, or if you have an issue and you want an answer from the tech support, this is where you click. In terms of communicating and asking questions, it's pretty straightforward. During the sessions, chat box to post your comments. The Q&A is to type your question for the presenters. We'll keep the Q&A for the end of each session. I'll read them out, or another moderator and co-host will read them out at the end. And then in terms of breaks, you can click on the break during the session to view you can click on break when there's a break between sessions to view the short videos and other materials that are developed by co-organizers of this event. As you have probably noticed, we have ASL interpreters available for all sessions. You can change how you view the gallery and the people speaking by using the little grid at the top right corner. And you can choose to enable closed captioning if you want. For accessibility features, you can see the little logos here. You'll find them in the top right corner of your screen. There's a little person icon. If you click on it, you can change accessibility settings on your screen to suit your needs. And of course, like most other platforms, you can adjust the size of your screen, the ratio of the size of the speaker to the size of the PowerPoint by dragging the sort of line that's between the speaker and sliding it left to right to change the size. That is entirely up to you to change however you see fit. Now, we have some helpful screenshots that were taken by my colleague Ran Rideout at EAPO to kind of show you what you're looking at. So when you're looking to the left of your screen, what's called networking on the left side here will help you see the full list of people that are present, registered in alphabetical order by first name. If you click on their name, you can start a private chat conversation or even a live video call if you want. So that helps you connect and hopefully make new friends and allies. Under profile, you can add information for your own profile. You can even upload files. You can add the website of your organization, anything you want. And you have a search function, of course, to help search the list of attendees. As I mentioned before, recording. We're recording everything. Everything will be listed on both EAPO's site, which is eapon.ca, and CNPEA's site, CNPEA.ca, within the next few days. And as always, this is an event that is important to us. We've created a little survey for evaluation. You received a pre-event survey, and there will be a post-event survey, and it would mean a lot if you could take a couple of minutes to answer it. That really helps us with evaluating our events and gauging how we're doing. So now that I've said all of this, I'm going to welcome Margaret McPherson to this room. She's going to lead us and open up this extraordinary event and lineup of speaker. This is something that, the idea was born already a little while ago when CNPEA started working on a project that aims to enhance supports for older victims of gender-based violence, realizing that there were only 13 sheltering spaces dedicated to older people in the entirety of the country. We decided to bring them together, called it the Safe Spaces Community of Practice, and started kind of meeting regularly to talk about their models along with Margaret McPherson. And this is how the idea for this event was born. So Margaret seemed like the perfect person to lead us into this event with her opening remarks. If you don't know her, she is an associate at the Center for Research and Education on Violence Against Women and Children. She also designs and develops curricula and materials on initiatives that are related to domestic violence, to elder abuse. And she was also the key architect of our CNPEA's national strategy on elder abuse. So her expertise bridges the gap a little bit between elder abuse and gender-based violence. Margaret, I think I'll leave it up to you to lead us into the event now.
Thank you, Benedict, and thanks everybody for coming. I have a few slides. I just wanted to set the stage a little bit for our conversations today. I think our hope is that it will be provocative in causing you to think about what's available, what's going on in your communities, and is the beginning of our ability to talk together about how to advance national strategies. So I want to start by reflecting on, the worst kinds of outcomes when people don't have safe spaces. So this is Helen Ryan, who was killed by her husband, Tom, at a hospital in Ontario in 2017. It made it had a lot of news coverage. And, it begs the question about what is available for older people who may be experiencing domestic violence in their relationship, deteriorating health conditions, and where do they go? What do they do? So I think it's always important when we're talking about system level issues to start with the people, that we want to remember and think about in the way we move forward. So Helen had indicated she was worried about to professionals that she was afraid that her husband would kill himself. And she also had expressed fear for her own life. And I think that, many of you will have experienced these situations where you can sort of see the train coming. And how do we move people? What are the options to move people from the tracks? And so, this is a very complicated subject with lots of aspects to it. And we're going to focus on creating safe spaces for people who are fleeing violence. So I just have a few slides. I just wanted a little bit of context around, older adult domestic homicides and some of the statistics that show us, 944 older adults were victims of homicide in Canada between, over a 20-year span. You can see there is a gender divide, there are gender differences in terms of how people, how people are killed and by whom. And we don't have sort of gender diverse stats yet. That is something that is, I think, been put into the Stats Canada system that we will have. But for the moment, we talk about male and female differences. And we look at the offenders and the kinds of situations that surround, that contribute to, I would say, escalating situations. I'm not going to get into this too much. I just wanted to give you a sense that we do have research that supports the discussions about how to move toward prevention. And gender is one aspect of it where we need to be thinking about gender differences so that we can target the interventions. And then we also have to think about intersectionality and the ways in which people's unique identities also can further advantage or disadvantage them when it comes to being exposed to violence and finding services that can support them. We want to take a large look at this. It's not just about individuals. When we think about what happened with Helen and Tom Ryan, it's not just an individual situation. We are called to think about an ecological approach that moves out towards societal level inequities and laws and policies that contribute to individual situations. So this is a slide we've used in the past to talk about how do we engage everyone in the issue of prevention of elder abuse in all of its forms. And we think about today, I want you to be, as you're listening to speakers, think about what's available in your own community for individuals. What relationships exist between organizations? What are the ways in which you might be collaborating in order to, solve particular kinds of issues in your community? And what are the community resources that exist? And what laws, policies are in place that inform this discussion? If we're going to, have a common agreement here that older people have a right to be safe from violence and discrimination, then what are the elements that are needed to put together, a whole response? And when we look at, Benedict had mentioned this, when we look at the current state of sheltering programs for older people in Canada, you see some of the age disparities in terms of that have also, again, a lot of reasons why this happens. But we only have 13 shelters that are specific for older adults that we're aware of, that support people who are fleeing violence. And so you can see they're only in some places, some more than others. And what does that tell us? This is a map we've used to kind of show the state of provincial and territorial responses to elder abuse. And then I've placed the shelter numbers into the map just to say that we want a national response, a pan-Canadian response, because there's also disparity between the provinces and territories. So this is a big picture that we're talking about. We hope today is provocative, stimulating, and getting you to think about what's the current state in your family, in your organization, and in your community. What's your vantage point by which you see things? Because in a way, when we talk about a pan-Canadian approach, it's about putting together a wide variety of opinions and perspectives and ideas about how to move forward. We really do need everyone to be involved. Everyone has a role to play. It's true. What role can you play in this conversation? And then what ideas surface for you as you're listening to the speakers today? Don't let them just go over you. Catch some of them and bring them to the questions, or talk with us after about things that you're aware of. Are you aware of other models than what you'll see here today? And then for the people who like to think about the bigger picture stuff, what are the provincial and national components that are needed or that may already exist? So that's your context for our time together today. I hope that you will find it to be of value and that it will stimulate your thinking, and we would love to hear all about it.
Thank you, Margaret. Thank you so much. Well, I'm going to call now Tamara Stremble and Mary Cargis to join us and turn on their cameras to lead us into the first session. So a very brief introduction before we go. Tamara Stremble is the Senior Transitional Housing Program Manager at AMA Tradition House for Older Women, which is by Atira Women's Resource Society. Tamara has dedicated most of her career to supporting people who are experiencing violence and homelessness. And throughout the last 20 years, she has worked alongside many nonprofit societies with the goal of one day ending homelessness. And Mary Cargis is the program manager at Florence Pierce Transition House for Women who are older, also run by Atira Women's Resource Society, both of them in British Columbia. Since 1996, Mary has been engaged in supporting homeless people in Toronto and in Vancouver. And with 20 years specifically working within the Vancouver's downtown east side in youth detox services, harm reduction initiatives, and emergency housing shelters for women, children, and youth. So we have two wonderful speakers for today's first session. I think I will stop here and let you take over and tell us a bit about, well, the work that you're doing at Atira. The fact that Atira is, I think, the first organization in the country to open up transition homes for older women, and not only what it's like to, house seniors, but to provide senior-specific services and what it takes to do this right. I think you guys are the expert on the topic, so take it away.
Who wants to talk first? Thank you for the hearts. I work at Florence Pierce Transition House for women that are 55 plus, and we are a 6-bed transition house for women fleeing different forms of abuse. And we are continuously informed by the people that we serve, and they're the experts that we consult with. Tamara, speak.
Good morning. I work at Alma Transition House for senior women. We are a 6-bed program. We run 6 months at a time for a stay with women. We have extended that during this housing crisis to ensure that senior women stay housed and are able to be free of violence in a safe space. We work daily with the women to understand their needs, understand what the landscape looks for them, and try to remove as many barriers as possible to help them move forward. Good morning.
That's wonderful. Now, which one of the two of you is going to share your presentation?
I'll start the slides.
Okay.
Not sure.
Were you able to share your screen, Mary?
No, I'm not. Are you?
Okay, let's see.
I thought it was going to be on there for us.
Try it now.
Okay, let's see. Let's see what we can do here, everybody. Sorry for waiting. Share screen. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, let's try this. Share screen. Let's see if I can do this. All right, files. Here we go. Let's see if it's going to open for us today. Are you able to see that, everyone?
Looking great. You just need to go into full screen and we're all set.
Okay, just let me do that for you. Okay. Is that full screen now? Because on my side in this Chromebook, it's saying it's full screen.
Full screen. Thank you. Ontario Women's Resource Society is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to supporting women and children affected by violence by offering safe, supportive housing and by delivering advocacy aimed at ending all forms of gendered violence. Our organization is welcome to trans women, two-spirit, and trans feminine folks.
Let me move to the next slide. Sorry, bit of a hiccup. 1 second. There we go.
Okay.
Okay. Nope. Yes, we're here.
Ontario Women's Resource Society was established on March 10th, 1983, and were officially registered as a charitable organization the following year. In 1987, we opened our first transition house, formerly known as Atira House, and since, I just lost it.
It just stopped. Sorry, 1 sec. It's jumping around. Okay.
Okay.
We're back.
Okay. I move this over. It's since been renamed Durant House, and to this day remains open for women and children who have experienced violence or abuse in the South Surrey and White Rock area. 39 years later, we now have over 30 housing programs. Okay.
I'm sorry, guys. My Chromebook is doing whatever it wants today. Give me a second. It has a mind of its own.
Tamara, I can try to give me a minute. I'll open it on my computer and then maybe we'll go that way.
Okay. It's like it's doing its own thing. Okay, let's see if we can do a new share. Get us back. Sorry about that, Mary.
That's okay.
Okay, let me get 1 second.
Tamara, if you want, I can take over if it makes your...
That would be great if you can.
Okay, let's do that. I'll share my screen.
Okay.
Sorry, everybody. It's morning here in BC. We're all struggling a little bit. Okay, so we should be on,
Okay,
and correct me if I'm wrong, we should be on this slide,
no, the previous.
the previous one. Okay.
Okay, and I just need to
There
move
we
this
go.
over here. Okay. The programs are designed to allow senior women to maintain their autonomy while addressing the multitude of barriers they face, like supports, affordable safe housing, counseling, and affordable food. On-site 24/7 support are provided by trained caring support women support workers. With space being limited, the homes are set up to provide a maximum of 8 to 10 beds between shared bedrooms, a community kitchen and dining area. 2 shared washrooms and a common living room are provided for the women and set up to resemble a home-like setting. Unlike other institutional style settings, the hope is women accessing our housing will feel they have entered a home. This is vital for senior women when working towards stabilization so the healing journey can begin. For the past couple of weeks, I have been speaking with the women in our program and the staff, and I've been telling them that I'm going to be coming to this conference, and if there's anything that they would like for me to pass on to all of you as people who access our services. And one of the common things they said is that they're all very interested in finding safe, affordable, and stable housing, which is something that there is a shortage. And with that, they don't want to be bounced around from shelter to shelter anymore, we've been seeing that happen a lot. And some of the challenges that they talked about was sharing bedrooms with complete strangers. They have found that to be stressful. And with that, I will pass on to Tamara. Thank you.
So I want to discuss a little bit about senior women and homelessness. So with the changing times, we're seeing many more senior women fleeing a lifetime of violence, from partners who control finances to emotional, physical, and spiritual violence. They may have lived most of their lives in these situations, but have now come to understand this is abuse and are looking for a way out. On top of that, many seniors are facing a multitude of health conditions requiring daily medication. Due to limited income, they often find themselves having to choose between housing, life-sustaining medication, and food. Spending most of their times in the home raising and supporting the children, because that's the era they have come from, have left them with limited pension and an inability to earn other income. With the cost of living that we're experiencing, they're finding it impossible to pay rent, buy food. We're seeing more and more seniors accessing shelters to meet their basic needs. Due to aging and previous injuries, when we enter our senior years, we may experience aches and pains. Through physicians or overprescribing narcotics, the victimization and access to illicit substances in the current shelter system, we've seen an increase in seniors addicted to opioids and street drugs. These issues create yet another barrier for most substance use, where most substance use supports are not designed to address the challenges that seniors face. According to the National Shelter Study from 2017, over 16.3% of shelter users are 55 and over and tend to have longer shelter stays compared to younger adults. 32% of seniors experience difficulty paying rent. 68% report trouble with covering their monthly expenses. Between 2017 and 2020, the percentage of seniors living in poverty has increased from 12.3% to 15.1%. In 2022, 36,000 seniors were on the wait list in BC for social housing, and the numbers keep rising. Currently, BC has the highest numbers of seniors experiencing homelessness across Canada. So Atira was fortunate to collaborate with Dalhousie University. You're going to see a list of all of the people that participated in this study. across the top. So during the study, they focused on 3 of the long-term housing that Atira provides for seniors in BC, which is Maggie's, Cecil, and Secord House. So these are some of the stats and findings from that survey that was done. So women living in current locations for an average of 5 years, 8 months to 11 years. Almost 40% identified as white, born in Canada. 4 were born in other countries and immigrated to Canada. Over a third identified as an Indigenous or part Indigenous. While a few were age
Sorry,
40.
Tamara, this is the interpreter. I'm just going to need you to go back. Each of the stats, I need a little breath between. Thanks so much.
Sure, sorry. Hi, I see you now. So women lived in their current location for an average of 5 years. So that's between 8 months to 11 years. That's the threshold they were looking at. Almost 40% identified as white, born in Canada. 4 were born in other countries and immigrated or integrated. Over a third identified as Indigenous or part Indigenous. While a few were age 45 to 55, most were 55 to 64, 65%, or 65 to 74 at 26%. While almost half of the participants did not complete high school, almost 40% participated in higher education. All but 1 participant identified having physical health, but about 60% identified as having current mental health problems and/or addiction. While knowledge is far less complete on intimate partner violence among older versus younger women, a mistaken assumption is that it ceases with age. Hightower, 2006. 15% to 30% of older women report intimate partner violence sometime over their life. In a study of coroner files of homicides by individuals aged 65 and older, 89% of homicide victims were female. And of these, 93% were current or former spouses of male perpetrators. It is generally recognized that, like other forms of abuse, intimate partner violence among women in midlife and older is underestimated. Compared to services for younger women, there are few interventions that exist to support women in midlife and older who have experienced intimate partner violence. Very little is known in Canada about permanent housing that is available for women in midlife and older. Atira is one of the few organizations in Canada that provide temporary and permanent housing to women midlife and older who have experienced gender-based violence. During this study, it was found that prior to living in their current homes, women discuss various and often intersecting issues related to employment, poverty, the lack of affordable housing and safe housing, physical and mental health challenges, including addiction, and experience in the criminal justice system. About half of the women had lived in short-term shelters, such as women's shelters and other forms of short-term housing prior to living in their current homes. A wide variety of people played a key role in facilitating access to their current housing, including shelter workers, outreach workers, parole officers, social workers in hospital settings, and advocates. And some advocated for themselves in finding appropriate housing. In most cases, the women talked about accessing their current housing going quite smoothly, both in terms of process and time. The women discussed many strengths of their current home, including that it is permanent. They feel safe and in control of their lives, and they have a private room. And their housing and housing-related costs are affordable. The food is either provided or efforts are made to reduce food costs. The key strength identified was that ATIRA supports empowerment of women through encouraging the women to support each other through group participation in the home, as in cooking and cleaning. So some more senior mental health stats. According to the Mental Health Commission of Canada, seniors will be the group that experiences the highest rate of mental illness in Canada by 2041. Seniors with mental health problems face double stigma of experiencing mental illness coupled with being elderly in this society. Mental health issues, including depression, dementia, Alzheimer's, delusion disorders, delirium, are the most common mental illnesses among seniors today. The complexity of elder care requires the development of effective preventative interventions on one hand, and service provisions for seniors experiencing homelessness on the other. For many seniors, housing equals living on the streets, in homeless shelters, or in a car. Service providers suggest that the hard living conditions of chronic homelessness cause the aging process to speed up, meaning they are less likely to survive. Many seniors do not seek help. They are too afraid of what will happen to them to seek this help. They don't have the resources to pay for the medication, or they don't trust healthcare social service professionals. Adding to this are multiple chronic health conditions, mobility limitations, alcohol use, mental illness, pulmonary disease, peripheral vascular illness, hypertension, diabetes, urinary incontinence, just to name a few. Seniors who do survive on the streets are at risk of becoming easy prey for criminal elements because of their health and mobility limitations. There is a greater likelihood that senior citizens living on the streets will be robbed or assaulted. Shelters are designed to meet the most basic needs. Although this may accommodate most folks, it does not meet the needs of seniors. Due to the aging process, seniors are living with multiple medical conditions and mobility restrictions. They require daily reminders, ranging from appointments to medication. These reminders are vital for their health and well-being. Medications require safe storage space, some needing to be refrigerated. This is a huge challenge for mainstream shelters, as they often are ill-equipped to provide that safe storage. In shelter environments, participants are responsible to hold, track, and administer their own medication. Meeting the specific mobility needs of seniors is another challenge. Shelter washrooms are not equipped with grab bars. Many seniors accessing shelters require assistance with bathing and hygiene. External resources bridge the gap. At the start, participants' wait times may vary from a few weeks to a month and may only provide assistance for 1 hour each week. While shelter furniture and storage meet the basic needs of most, seniors struggle in this area. Many have reported being unable to lift themselves from the beds. Item storage in the form of totes placed on the floor present a challenge, as bending down to retrieve items is next to impossible. Some state the inability to access their items as the reason for wearing the same clothes for weeks at a time. These barriers are not considered when evaluating their behavior and are often misunderstood as a lack of personal care. Many participants accessing shelters are living with as said, mental health and addiction. This can be scary and overwhelming for seniors who are new to the shelter environment. Many seniors were housed their entire lives, and due to limited income, redevelopment, greedy landlord evictions, death of a spouse, senior abuse, have found themselves unhoused. Seniors report the environment as very noisy, chaotic, people yelling and talking 24/7, fear of sleeping, being woken by others, going through their items, including the pockets of the clothes they are wearing. Lack of sleep, situational anxiety, and depression have a grave impact on seniors mentally and subsequently physically. Majority of seniors are accustomed to a more secured, structured environment, including defined rest times. Seniors exposed to the environments for prolonged length of time are observed to display symptoms of PTSD, anxiety, high startle response, diminished participation in personal care, engagement, including attending appointments, diminished problem solving, decision making, and ultimately more at risk of being taken advantage of by the criminal element. When there are large numbers of persons accessing temporary limited space settings, many of which are living with mental health and addiction, the seniors in these settings are more likely to be overlooked. This plays a large role in seniors feeling invisible, which adds to the diminished desire to move forward in their lives. Shelters are doing the best they can, but let's be honest and blunt. Given the lack of structure, limited spacing, overcrowding, large number of participants, minimal staffing with limited to no education in senior-specific care, and the high number of mental health and addiction, these environments contribute to the rapid decline of health amongst unhoused seniors. So looking at ATIRA's temporary housing for seniors, ATIRA's Women's Resource Society has identified many of the barriers with supporting seniors in a safe temporary housing environment. We work continually to improve upon our programs and environment to meet the specific needs of the senior population. Alma and Florence Pierce House are equipped with shared bedrooms, allowing for a maximum of 2 to 3 seniors per room. Furniture which fosters more independence. This includes raised beds and dressers for ease of access. Living rooms are set up to support restricted mobility, including recliners and stools for seniors to elevate feet. Bathrooms are equipped with walk-in showers, including grab bars. Grab bars are installed near toilets to ensure participants feel confident when sitting, standing. Large kitchen dining areas where seniors take part in cooking and sharing food together. All meals are provided through weekly grocery purchase. This allows the seniors to have an active role in deciding on the food they would like to eat and taking part in preparing the meals. Groceries are often chosen based on the specific nutritional needs of the seniors, keeping in mind many have dentures or are waiting on denture replacement. This is also considered when grocery shopping. Secured lockers are provided for safe storage of possessions and medication. These lockers are equipped with locks providing safe storage of keys in staff office. Medications which require refrigeration, examples insulin, are secured and stored in staff office fridges. Sites are equipped with security cameras strategically placed to ensure senior safety, including when falls happen. Staff monitor perimeter and health checks. The staff monitored perimeter and health checks aid in ensuring older seniors are safe. Each building is staffed with women support workers who are educated in senior needs and available on site 24/7. The staff provide a wide range of services on site, including comprehensive intakes, identifying needs and barriers, referrals to service providers. They work collaboratively with other services and physicians, assist with completion of most applications, arrange transportation through community volunteers and Handy Dart, provide medication and appointment reminders. On-site programs are available through community volunteers and the women's support workers. Collaboratively, they provide and encourage many group programming, including art, exercise, movie nights, bingo, sewing, knitting, tea time, outings, vision and hearing testing, cell phone and computer understanding and use, Outlook and Word program education, cover letter writing, and so on. These types of group programs encourage senior involvement, foster inclusivity, problem solving, and relationship building. They equipped seniors with the skills and confidence to be successful in today's environment and go a long way in helping seniors to maintain their independence, feeling included and connected. Mary, can I ask you to take over? I've got an emergency call coming in from my home.
What's needed? Successful senior-specific temporary housing. Environment, furnishing suited to mobility, grab bars and washrooms and sleeping area. Limited stairs provide, we have a chairlift at Ama House. Limited number of participants to space and staff ratios. Physical and mental health. Medication and appointment reminders, meals focused on needs and abilities of seniors, safe storage for items and medications, programming which encourages connection, inclusion, education, understanding, technology, and accessing services. And then there's some success stories. I'm not sure how we're doing for time. If we're okay for time right now.
I think we have 10 minutes, and so if you want to
Okay.
take some questions at the end, I'd say maybe you have a couple more minutes and then we'll take questions.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
This is one of our success stories. Manjeet, a 62-year-old woman from South Asia whose son brought her to Canada on a visitor's visa. She spent 3 years in Canada as a victim of senior abuse, living in her son's basement, expected to perform all the cooking, cleaning, and childcare. Never being allowed out of the house, unattended, or to learn English, she had nowhere to turn for assistance. She was able to flee upon seeing a person in uniform and requested help. Police contacted Atira for immediate temporary housing. She was brought to Ama House with the assistance of other Atira employees who speak Farsi. She was finally able to share her story, understanding her situation, we moved quickly, assisting her to start online English classes. Using Google Translate, we were able to communicate to meet her daily needs. Okay, sorry, I gotta move. Okay. From there, we connected her with community groups to assist her with applications for emergency refugee status, finding a lawyer willing to donate their time, and a community of the South Asian woman to guide and support her in Canada. Atira Women's support workers, through our partnership with BC Income Assistance, were able to provide monthly income, a bus pass, and a handy dart number to meet some of her basic needs. She remained at Ama House while building a support system of community member dedicated to assist her. She continued to learn English and eventually transferred to Florence Pierce, where I work, while she waits for subsidized housing to become available. Do you want to continue reading? Yeah, so these are.
Sorry, Maria, I can't see your face, so if you want to come on camera and maybe take a few questions, because I feel like we have about 10 minutes left and maybe people want to ask some pointed questions. We'll be sharing the slides anyway so that people can digest all that information at their own pace. Let me have a quick look. I'm going to stop sharing.
Sorry, I thought it was on camera.
Yeah, I think you were so
done.
excited to launch in the when you took over. But that's okay. That's completely okay. So let me see if we have any questions. Not yet. So for our audience who are kind of processing what they heard, you have a few minutes. You can type your questions in the Q&A box. I was curious, we kind of got to that towards the end. I think tomorrow on one of the last couple of slides you were talking about, I was really curious about how you engage with in terms of the medical needs of some of the people you assist and their residents. Like, how does that work? And it seems like you have established relationships with physicians, or do you follow up with the client's physicians? How does that work?
So usually what happens is when the women do their original intake, there's a lot of questions around what is their current medical condition, what physicians or teams of physicians are they working with. So once we've established what their needs are medically, we then request from them opportunity to work with their physicians directly. So be in communication with them to be able to ensure that we are assisting them for appointment reminders, that we're ensuring there is transportation for them to get to these appointments, and that we have a very good understanding of the different medication they're on. And what the consequences may look like. So we've had many seniors come in that are on blood pressure medication. They oftentimes in a new environment will forget to take their medication on time, will take other medications because they're on multiple, forgetting that one. And then we see that they're unsteady on their feet, they're lightheaded. We're now able to recognize through knowing their list of medications what that kind of dizziness or grabbing onto supports in the hallway really means. And we can have that more mindful conversation.
That's amazing. That's a lot. Just understanding and managing everyone's medical needs and rhythms, I guess, as well during the day.
Yes.
Now you are both in a different home in the general Greater Vancouver, but are there differences? Are you observing differences based on where you are? I think, Mary, are you outside of Vancouver?
I'm inside. I'm in Vancouver in a
Vancouver.
residential neighborhood, and Ama House is in White Rock. Usually, because Florence First is a new program, people usually call Ama House first because it's published in more directories. And if they don't have a space, they usually tell women to call our house. So we have been getting, I don't know, there are some, besides the geographic areas, pretty much serving the same women, I would say.
Mm-hmm. And how does that work in terms of getting there? Because it requires being able to physically get out of Vancouver center proper. Is there help with that, or are people, how do you kind of cover that potential gap in transportation?
A lot of women have their own vehicles, so they can come, but we also have outreach workers that are full-time that can go pick up women and bring them to the house, take them to appointments as well. Our addresses are confidential, so we have meeting spots where we can pick them up from.
Okay. And I think both of you in your bios, you've worked in the field or in addressing homelessness and in a variety of services that help people at different ages. Was there something that led you to focus now on older women, or was it more of a natural progression due to demand changing? What's been the trigger there?
I think that it was the opportunity. So I've worked with youth, adults, I've worked with people dealing with a lot of mental health and addiction. I've had the opportunity to work in long-term housing and emergency shelters that came out during COVID. And in 2020, I had the opportunity to work with the city of Richmond to develop a drop-in center there. That had not existed before. During that time, I noticed a lot of seniors were accessing the drop-in center to get laundry done, to use showers, to eat, and really connect with other services. Mm-hmm. They really weren't sure where to go or what was happening. I noticed that a lot of times the emergency departments, police were bringing seniors directly to the Richmond drop-in center and kind of dropping them off, saying, help them. That kind of piqued my interest on what's going on with our senior population, because I didn't have a lot of information on it. Hadn't really seen it as much as I did while working at the drop-in center. And then the opportunity came up through ATIRA to work in White Rock with seniors. And I wanted it. I wanted to understand the landscape. And they were specifically looking for an older woman to become the program manager there, someone that could identify or begin to identify with some of the needs of seniors. And I was approaching, 51, and I thought this would be a great opportunity to understand this part of the homeless environment.
Mary, anything to add to this?
Yeah, most of my experience was working in emergency shelters with women and children, and I would see older women coming into the shelter, and for all the reasons of why, because there is a difference in BC between shelters and transition houses. I'm not sure if everybody across Canada, transition houses might be called shelters, but there is a big difference, and there was nothing in place for older women to go as far as shelters were. It would just be transition houses. So I did see a lot of vulnerable women being taken advantage of in the shelter system. And I knew that there was a need for them to have a place that would be for them and to suit their needs better, where they can be safe, and because they are vulnerable. And so I saw a lot of that abuse happening in the shelter, in the system. And I worked at Ama House back in the early 2000s as a relief worker. So I worked at, Atira was one of the places I worked with back then. So I was always excited about any new program that Atira's starting up. And this was, I had an opportunity to work at Florence Pearson. It was a new challenge for me, and so I jumped on it, and I'm glad I did.
I think we need more of Tamara's and
Need
more of
more.
Mary's everywhere. We have a question from the audience saying, asking you, have you noticed an increase in homelessness that is due to the outcome of cybercrime or romance scams or scams in general that target older people?
I would say yes. I'm not sure about Mary, but some of the intakes we've done have involved senior women that have been part of cybercrime, have given out their banking information, have had their bank accounts emptied, and we're in the process of fighting with the banks to try to have their money returned. But in that meantime, they've now been evicted from their housing because they can't pay their rent. So yes, absolutely.
What about you, Mary?
Yes, the grandparent scam. We had someone's mother be scammed for them. There's been a couple of those, and attempted. One did get a lot of money out of one of the woman's elderly mothers, and then we heard of another story of someone trying to impersonate a family member to get money again. So this is something that the seniors are being targeted for right now, and we're seeing and hearing about it more and more.
We have Michelle Markham, who is a colleague of yours, but in Alberta, in the same sector, who is asking if you can speak to where older men needing safety from abuse can access services in Vancouver.
I would like to say I know, but honestly, I don't know. I have heard through other colleagues, not through Atira Society, but it's through other nonprofits, that there is a safe shelter for senior men somewhere in New Westminster. Now, I'm not really sure about that, but I believe it is. I believe what I'm to understand is it may be through, sorry, one second, either the Lookout Society or one of the other kind of addiction abstinence-based societies that is actually managing it.
Thank you for sharing this. I will look for it as well. And if it's not on our list of 13, then add it to the list, because we always want to keep that list updated, which, by the way, is an invitation to anyone who is listening right now and participating in today's event. If you have resources or places that you don't see on the list or you don't hear us talking about and you think is a gap, please let us know in the chat box or by email afterwards so that we can add them to our list. We can add that to our records for sharing with people. It will be much appreciated. We're here to learn as much as to share information. I see there are lots of little applause emojis that always make me so happy. Thank you very much, Mary and Tamara, today for joining us at 8:45 in the morning to break the ice and do the first session of the day. We're gonna let everybody go and have a 5-minute break, catch their breath. Thank you so much again for participating. We hope you'll stick around for part of the day. And everybody else, our next session will begin in about 5 minutes. So take a little moment to have a glass of water or some coffee. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.